Well, when you're thinking about the present and the future of communications in the cloud, there's one person that you should talk to, one person I want to talk to, and it's Alan Quayle, the man behind TAD and TAD Hacks. If you don't know what that is, you should Google it and go look it up. Alan, welcome in.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy to be here.
Great. Well, hey, thanks for taking your time away from making content with Johnny for a few minutes. Sorry.
He's so busy on other things at the moment. I'm just making content by myself.
I hope so. By the way, if you don't know what I'm talking about, guys, go over to LinkedIn and connect with Alan and look at his great videos. He's keeping his finger on the pulse of cloud communications every
Absolutely.
single day and holding companies
To
feet to
account
the
for their behavior.
feet to the fire. You know what? Hey,
Yeah,
look, Commio was first think was started because of transparency, control.
exactly.
That's why we started 11 years ago, and
Yes,
and we love it. We love everything about being open and honest, and in here in this space. So let's start with that, Alan. So as you think about,
absolutely.
like, okay, 2024, we're in the middle of an election season. We've got text messages popping off. We've got,
Yeah.
robocalls galore. We still have a problem with identity. But as you look back, say, the last 12, 24 months, what do you see are some of the biggest things that have gone on in this industry? And what are some things that businesses can do about it?
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, I'm going to start sort of negative spiral, but then we'll get more positive at the end.
Good.
So, we are in the midst of what I consider to be the greatest crapification of the PSTN that we have ever experienced. When we look at voice, how many, fraud, spam likely do we get? And we're to the point where we just don't answer the phone because it's most probably going to be a scam.
Yeah.
And now, unfortunately, we have elderly, the boomers that grew up and wanted, it was like, it was the most important thing is somebody's calling me, I must answer. And they do. And then it turns out to be a scam and they're losing ridiculous amounts of money to the point whereby, they're dying, whether it be through suicide or, related, but people are losing their life savings through these scams. And of course, we've got all the stuff, whether it be SMS or RCS spam, pumping in daily. I was just looking because I have an Android. I was just looking at my spam folder, and it was, people keep telling me it's like the numbers are falling. Well, numbers aren't getting caught as far as I can see. I'm receiving more SMS spam today than ever. But, and this is what started me on the rant, is I wrote, did an interview with Uku from Ascente. He's the CEO for Ascente. And one of the things he said, and this is more relevant international, so I apologize because we need to keep this US focus. I will get it back to the US in a minute. But he said, we should just have published rates for SMS so that you know how much it costs. So I can then focus on the value add of what I do rather than playing games with artificially inflated traffic and all the scams that get let through. Because that's what's happening at the moment is all these scams are getting pumped through because somebody is making money. These messages don't get delivered unless somebody is making money. So anyway, I
True.
apologize for starting on a rant about the crapification, but we are in an unprecedented situation, especially now that the presidential campaign has got well underway. And I'm seeing even more messages that, please stop sending me political messages. I just love it. Either party, just stop it.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of crapification, I mean, we know the politicians have carved a great exception to
Yes.
opt in to any sort of, stop this. It's like, no, we can do anything we want.
Yep.
Um, I will say this, thankfully, I am getting more and more messages, but when I answer stop to the ones that I really don't want, and they happen to come from one party, guess what? I get a response rate and they do stop. So at least we
Oh,
have that going for
wow.
us, which is nice.
Okay. Because
Yeah.
I've been just too, like, I've not even trusted that a stop will lead to a stop
Yeah.
on the messages. But that's good. Okay.
Right.
Well, I'll
Right.
try
Right.
replying some stops now.
Well, let's go back for a minute though to this whole spam likely piece, which we know all of us in this industry are grappling with. Like, here at
Yeah,
Commio, we have over 10 million numbers in our system, and we also have to fight with the powers that be. Like, hey, we just sourced a brand new number; it's never been used before. Why does it always come up as spam likely? So we're
that's it.
fighting it from the good traffic side of things. We work with businesses
Exactly.
here in the U.S. all day long that are like, look, why is it when I buy 20 numbers, 12 of them come up as spam likely? So
Yeah.
what can businesses do about that?
Yep. And this is where, again, there's a number of layers. As a business today, you've just got to basically, pay those third parties that, can deal with the ratings that those numbers get. So, you've just got to, because the problem line is people aren't answering the phone
Yeah.
because of the level of spam. I did a piece, I think it was yesterday on LinkedIn, where I was looking at, remember those good old ringtones where you used to personalize our phones with? And I was just looking at, there was billions that were being spent. And today, I think it's like 10 million. People aren't buying ringtones anymore because let's face it, they don't even care who's calling them. It's most probably going to be spam. Now, if you can improve the ratings around the numbers that you've got, deliverability does improve, but it's not perfect. Okay. As I said, we're in the worst crapification of the PSTN that we've ever seen. The
Yeah.
bottom line is stir shaken doesn't work.
Yeah.
Okay. Because they implemented it on the VoIP gateways, and yep, that's part of the source. But it's like a game of whack-a-mole. If you basically sort of stop one source, but you don't stop the other, which is all the PSTN gateways, guess where all the traffic goes to?
Yeah.
So, they should have implemented it. Now, of course, they go, oh, it's too expensive. Well, then use open source. You keep saying you're going to be a techco, then be a techco, use open source, and put in the technology to start protecting your customers. Because I'm paying every month for not just mobile internet access, but for voice and SMS. And
Yeah.
carriers need to start putting in those investments because
Yeah.
I'm the customer, I'm paying. They should return the PSCN back to those good old days where when a call came in, it was because somebody wanted to talk to me. Now, I may
Yeah.
not necessarily want to talk to them, but regardless, answering it, there would be somebody at the end. And we can return to those days by just implementing some technologies to solve that. So I think there's a broader industry issue that the carriers have to take, control over simply because their customers are paying for them, paying for these services, and they've got to stop pointing the fingers at other people. It's
Yeah.
like it's
Right.
PCR, they're not doing their job, or it's basically Twilio, they're not doing their job. It's like stop.
Yeah.
It stops
Yeah.
with you. I'm paying you, AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, deliver a service like you used to. So I
Yeah.
think that's the end stop. But in the interim, because this is going to change rapidly over the next sort of a couple of years, you've just got to, pay those services that are going to improve the ratings so your calls get delivered. It's as
Yeah.
simple as that. But
Uh,
even with that, anyway, so go for it.
no, no, I was gonna say, answer me this one question. So, okay, don't do this, but if you want to, go do this. Look at the Google reviews for Commio. Just go to Google Maps, pull up Commio, look at our Google reviews. Every single person is coming down on us because, occasionally some bad traffic gets through, and then
Yeah,
we get blamed because they're on the do not call list and they want to block it. And we research every single call, we
yeah,
take action, and we block it at our level. Why in the world, with Know Your Customer and all these new FCC rules, are people like Commio being held to account for blocking it, for buying? By the way, we have to pay for them; they're very expensive. Buying the lists of do not call, implementing it on our network. Why doesn't
yes,
AT&T and Verizon? Why don't they implement the do not call list and
correct,
say none of this is going to get through the,
correct.
the major care? Why is that?
Because again, they've created all these middlemen. I did the paper on the messaging monopolies,
Yep.
all these parties they keep putting in the middle, and they just basically, it's a giant finger pointing
Yes.
exercise between
Right.
all these other parties. The buck has to stop at the carriers for PSTN services,
Yep.
full stop.
Yep.
However, that's going to take a fair bit of time. So instead, as a business, you've just got to, manage the problem that you have today, which is just ensuring your calls or your messages get through. And there, it's all about the ratings around the phone numbers.
Yeah.
And you, I know as Commio, you've had to fire quite a few customers that
Yeah.
were sources of bad traffic. And in a lot of cases, it's not them; it's a third, it's one
Yes.
of their customers or one
Right.
of their customers' customers.
Yep.
It's very hard to stop because of the identity issues. Now, we've covered identity before, but again,
Right.
nobody in the industry really wants to tackle it because they love just pointing fingers at each other. And bear in mind that, especially when we look, from a messaging side, we really are now in a monopoly situation.
Yep.
It's Twilio Cinnabus. I mean, they're sat there as a massive troll. They want to produce good numbers for the second half of this year, and they're putting the squeeze on all the people in the middle. And of course, that impacts the enterprises. So again, it's a period of rapid change. We'll see, how the market evolves in 2025. All I can say is to be in the middle in 2024 has been a really situation where basically, yes, stuff has been shifted around. You've been using one provider, then you're told to use another provider, and that bind has awful performance, or you start getting rejections. And it's just been chaos
Well,
in
and
that.
then even worse than that, then all of a sudden you run the exact same campaign, the same messages, the same registration, the same everything,
Yes.
say with a company that wears blue shirts, and then they move it over to another company that wears a different color on the other side of the spectrum. If you look at the Roy G. Biv spectrum,
Yeah.
and that exact everything runs perfectly fine. Like
Yes.
there are games being played, there's fingers being
Correct.
pointed, and there's rampant favoritism. There's
Yes.
payoffs. One company paid for another company $750 million, and magically all that look. We
Yes.
all just look. We're all business people. We want to serve our customers. We want
Yes.
to transmit good traffic. We don't want any
Yes.
spam or scammers on our networks.
Exactly.
And it seems like people, especially the higher up in the chain you go, they're making it harder and harder
Correct.
to be a good corporate citizen. Anyway,
Exactly.
I
And
didn't
this
want to go
comes back
super
to it.
negative, but
No,
yeah,
no, no, but we have to capture what's really happening
yeah,
because what's also
right,
happening is, oh yeah, it's trust. And the organizations that I refer to as laundromat services that basically happily take the sponsorship money from companies that are generating significant bad traffic. And they have them there sat there talking about how the world's beautiful, how the TCR is working, how basically everything's really great, and they're generating tons of artificially inflated traffic to the point where you see Elon Musk basically ranting about the $60 million that all these carriers are basically taking away from him. So it's trust cannot be restored by the people that have caused this terrible situation.
yeah,
And of course, we've got those organizations going RCS, RCS, RCS. And it's like, come on, guys, you've been saying RCS for like 10 plus years. Is this the year that you think it's going to happen, like last year and the year before and the year before that?
yeah,
And help me understand where with RCS now, you can actually deliver the something that looks like, say, a Wells Fargo message. Same
yeah.
color palette, same design. Well, I got nearly conned a couple of weeks and maybe a couple of months ago now with Easy Pass, the
Yeah.
service, and it was I just did a double take. It wasn't Easy Dash Pass, it was E Dash Z Pass. And I was
Oh
like,
no. Yeah.
I know it was so close,
Yeah.
and I didn't click on it, but I was about to,
Yep.
So we're again as an end customer, I shouldn't have to deal with that. So I
Right.
think there's as an enterprise, you've just got to take very simple, practical steps. So guess what? WhatsApp works. Talk to your customers.
Yeah. Yeah.
It still has its issues, but it's not as tough as some of the others. Email, guess what? It works. It's a terrible situation where we're
Right.
having to go back to email, but SMS has become bad in some regions and some areas for some communications.
Yeah.
So as a business, you've just got to be practical, down to earth, improve your rankings on your numbers, but also multi-channel, multi-channel, multi-channel.
Yeah.
And customers understand because they're seeing all this. As I said, I've got a spam folder that has daily spam SMS. I get daily spam likelies coming in. So I see that.
Right.
And if you can, and a great thing is with email, Gmail is pretty good. It
Yeah.
filters out most of the crap.
Yep.
And so as long as it's not urgent and you're just informing me about something or whatever, use that. And, I like it because as a customer, it's like, oh yeah, it's, think of a brand. Darn Tough. They've got a new brand of socks, and which are guaranteed for life. So should you get a hole in them, you just send them back and they'll send you some new ones. But they send that and it's not urgent, but it's a communication that I have trust around.
Right.
So yeah, I think you've got to be a lot more fleet of foot, a lot more customer responsive, and use as many channels as possible because this isn't going to get resolved soon because everything's on hold while we have the election cycle, and then that's it. November, everybody breathes a sigh of relief or
Hopefully.
pain, and then
Right. Right. Right.
and then it's the FCC is going to change, so that's going to take some time, and there's a whole host of things that are going to spin out of that. So we are most probably at least another 18 months before potentially we start to see the trajectory moving better because where we are today is simply not in a good space. And as an enterprise, you've got to be fleet of foot, responsive to your customers, and using as many channels as possible to find what works.
Yeah. So, all right, Alan, I'm going to take away from this. Omni-channel is key. You got to communicate through all those different channels. You can't just rely on one or two. You got to
Correct.
think about WhatsApp. Think about that's, and
Yeah.
RCS, hopefully in the future. I hear what you're saying for the near term, for the next 18 months. But in the meantime, and you and I have talked about this many times, until we come up with a real identity solution, like
Yeah.
business A has some sort of an electronic and paper document that says, this is me, and that needs to follow all voice and messaging and RCS, all
Yes.
different communication. Until that exists, and that's going to probably have to come through the FCC.
Yes.
We are stuck in, as you so eloquently said, the crapification. And by the way, congrats! I think this is the first podcast in history that I've made that I'm going to have to put a beep in. So thanks for doing that. I'm gonna
Hey, I'm happy to
so
help you on that one.
congrats, Alan. But no, hey, I appreciate your insights on the current and the near term for communications, and keep up all your great work on LinkedIn. By the way, if you guys have not connected with Alan Quayle right here on LinkedIn, you should do that. You're going to get all the best information from his newsletter and stay up to date, as well as have some fun with Johnny, which I get way too many posts every day in the best possible way from that guy and
In the
from
best
you.
possible taste.
Exactly. But hey, I appreciate you keeping it
problem.
transparent and real, and have a great rest of your year. And let's all buckle up and hold on to our phones while they catch on fire with all these new messages
You got
for
it.
this campaign.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Alan. You have a great
You're
one.
welcome. Bye-bye.